All right, let's jump right into this explainer and cut straight through all that breathless hype to really understand Meta's massive hardware pivot. Meta has officially confirmed that two new headsets are in the pipeline. One is looking like a probable Quest successor, while the other is this completely new, thin, lightweight device that's tethered to a compute puck. Both of these could completely change what standalone VR actually looks like by 2027. So let's map out exactly what we know, what's been leaked, and what all of this means for you existing Quest 3 owners. We absolutely have to start with this confirmed fact from Meta's CTO Andrew Bosworth, because it completely debunks the recent and honestly pretty wild rumors that the Quest 4 was somehow dead. After some internal memos leaked out about canceled prototypes, the internet was incredibly quick to declare the end of the entire Quest line. But Bosworth stepped right up and clearly stated that no, they have two devices actively on the roadmap. The project isn't dead at all, it's just been completely reimagined to meet a rapidly shifting, highly competitive market.
So here is how we're breaking things down today. First, the 2027 VR roadmap. Second, the Quest 4 gaming powerhouse. Third, the compute puck paradigm. And fourth, some solid advice for current Quest owners.
Part 1, the 2027 VR roadmap. Let's separate the actual signal from the noise. Remember back in October 2023 when the Quest 3 launched? Well, the original plan was to follow that up with a new generation of prototypes codenamed Pismo. But fast forward to mid-2025, and those Pismo prototypes get entirely canceled. Now, the roadmap wasn't scrapped, rather it was radically rebooted into two totally distinct hardware tracks. We are now looking at an ultralight headset, codenamed Puffin, targeting the first half of 2027, and that's going to be followed by the true Quest 4, codenamed Griffin, rolling out in the second half of 2027. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the literal fork in the road Meta is facing. Instead of trying to make one magical device that pleases absolutely everyone, Meta is splitting its VR future right down the middle. On one side, we have the Quest 4, a heavy, all-in-one, gaming-first device built for raw performance. On the flip side, we have the Compute Puck device, an ultra-lightweight lifestyle gadget focused more on social presence, media consumption, and productivity, relying entirely on tethered processing. Moving on to Part 2, Quest 4, the gaming powerhouse, and what the latest leaks are actually suggesting. We are anticipating some absolutely massive technological leaps here. We're talking about shifting from the Quest 3's LCD panels to stunning 4K micro OLED displays, supplied by industry partners like BOE and SIA. What does that mean for you? Incredibly deep blacks and retina-level clarity, where the pixels effectively just disappear. We're also looking at a jump from 120 Hz refresh rate to a buttery smooth, rock-solid 144 Hz, along with expanded field-of-view lenses and next-gen haptic controller improvements. And powering this whole shebang is the anticipated leap from the Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 to the XR2 Gen 3 chip. Thanks to its custom Orion CPU architecture, we are expecting a massive 50% GPU performance boost. That is a real game changer. But think about it. How on earth do you push dual 4K displays at 144 frames per second on a mobile chip without literally melting the device on your face? Well, that brings us to dynamic foveated rendering. By reintroducing standard eye tracking, the headset uses infrared sensors to see exactly where your pupil is darting around. It then concentrates all of its rendering horsepower on that tiny specific area, while blurring or lowering the resolution in your peripheral vision where you won't even notice it. This is absolutely crucial technology. It's the only way a mobile chip can run these insane 4K displays efficiently. Now, as you might guess, stuffing all that custom silicon and high-end eye tracking sensors into a headset totally changes the economic reality. We are likely looking at a pricing window of $600 to $800. The era of Meta selling heavily subsidized loss leader headsets for $300 to $500 just to get people through the front door of their ecosystem, yeah, that era is likely winding down. The hardware is simply becoming way too advanced. Okay, Part 3, the compute puck paradigm. We're shifting to distributed computing. To really grasp what this Puffin device is all about, we have to define this compute puck philosophy. Distributed computing in VR is a radical design shift. It takes the heaviest, hottest components, namely the processing chip and the battery, completely off of the face-worn headset. Instead, it moves them down to a separate, pocketable puck connected by a cable, likely powered by a Snapdragon XR Elite or whatever its successor ends up being. This is basically Meta's master plan to definitively solve the ongoing VR weight and comfort problem. And to achieve this massive weight loss, they are stripping the headset down to the absolute bare bones. By shifting the main Snapdragon system on chip down to the puck, moving the heavy battery to the puck, And just ditching traditional controllers entirely, the headset weight drops to an absolutely staggering 110 grams. To put that into perspective, current headsets sit around 500 grams. That's like taking a small dumbbell off your face. By relying entirely on high-fidelity hand and gaze tracking instead of controllers, wearing this device is going to feel much closer to wearing a thick pair of sunglasses than a traditional VR brick. So here's the real kicker. Moving that processor to your pocket doesn't just save your neck, it solves a massive thermal engineering nightmare. On-face heating strictly limits how fast a processor can run because, let's be real, you simply cannot have burning hot silicon and loud exhaust fans sitting millimeters from your eyeballs. At least not if you want to keep your eyebrows, right? But by utilizing puck cooling in a pocket or strapped to a belt, you allow the chip to run much hotter, much faster, and you can actually use active exhaust fans to push performance to completely new heights. Finally, part 4, advice for current Quest owners. Let's dig into the wait or buy framework. We need to directly address the elephant in the room for anyone watching this explainer today. Hearing about all these amazing 4K micro OLEDs and 110-gram headsets dropping in 2027, should you hold off on buying a Quest 3 right now? Let's break down the verdict step by step. Step 1, just buy the Quest 3 now, honestly. Step 2, enjoy that massive, totally stable game library for the next 12 to 18 months without any FOMO. If we look at historical meta upgrade cycles, major leaps just take time, meaning the Quest 3 is going to enjoy a remarkably long lifespan as the flagship device. Step 3, rely on Meta's proven track record of backward compatibility when 2027 finally does roll around. With the significant delays pushing this next generation to 2027 or even potentially later, the Quest 3 remains a remarkably safe, high-value, and incredibly stable buy right now. And we can be super confident that these future headsets will actually be worth the wait when they do finally show up. As Andrew Bosworth noted regarding Valve's highly anticipated Steam Frame PCVR headset, every time there's a new headset, we learn from it. Meta is actively watching heavy hitters like Valve and Apple like a hawk. This kind of competitive pressure pretty much guarantees that by the time these 2027 headsets hit the market, they'll be forced to innovate, delivering the absolute best spatial computing experience we've ever seen. So we've explored this wild, diverging roadmap, the heavy gaming powerhouse on one side versus the featherweight compute puck on the other. I want to leave you with a couple of questions to think about. Which of these form factors actually excites you more? And if Meta's Quest 4 added just one thing that the Quest 3 is currently missing, what would make you upgrade without a second of hesitation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, keep learning.